Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. It's very good to be here with you. Apologies for the delay. It's been one of those days, isn't it? Always, yeah, it is. Yeah, I think we need to compile a database of phrases I am no longer allowed to say. Okay, let's get to your. The whole point of this is your questions, so let's get to them. All right, Spencer. Spencer, thank you so very much. From the UK, I'm guessing. All right, question. Hey, Mary, what do you think of JD Vance suggesting the UK government repeal its hate crimes laws, particularly LGBTQ plus, in exchange for a trade deal, the start of enforced deference, perhaps? Yeah, okay, I've heard about this. From what I understand, this has not been confirmed. So, we don't know yet if this is actually something that Vance is holding over the UK's head. We don't know if it's a rumor or fiction. We're still waiting to confirm it. However, would we be surprised? Because JD Vance is a vile human being who gets off on hating other people and making their lives miserable. So, and we see how Donald has been using tariffs and stuff to coerce, threaten, blackmail other countries. We also, I don't know if you guys heard this, but the Pope sent his one of his deputies to meet with Vance and lectured him about his inhumane immigration stance. So that was fun because Vance, I believe, purports to be a Catholic. Clearly, I mean, I don't know what he is, but he's certainly not a Christian in the sense that most people typically mean that. Anyway, so I'm very curious to know if this is actually happening with the UK trade deal. I mean, I don't think it's operative. Like, it would just be talk about capitulation. Like, if a country is like, yeah, in order to get a favorable trade deal, we're going to allow hate crimes again. But I'm just more interested in if that's actually something that's in the mix. And again, given these people, would it surprise us? Champagne Hand, question. I know you weren't thrilled about the optics of Timothy Snyder and other I'm assuming that's professors instead of, right, taking international contracts. Do you think Harvard, et cetera, would have pushed back if a brain drain hadn't begun? Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, honestly, I don't know that I spoke specifically to that issue. I think when I first heard about Timothy Snyder, all I knew was that he was moving. And I don't know if it's Canada or Ireland or what have you. I didn't know why. And my only take on it was that I'm not going to judge anybody for making that decision, regardless of what the reason is, because we live in scary times and some people actually do have targets on their backs. From what I understand. So now, I mean, I guess it's because he got an offer from from an international university. This wouldn't have happened. Okay, let's put it this way. It's very possible. I'm guessing Timothy Snyder is in demand. He could get a job wherever he wanted. So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like, we wouldn't even be questioning it if he decided he wanted to go teach at an elite university in Italy or Germany or France or what have you, right? The only reason we're wondering about it now is because maybe some people feel it's an abdication, or maybe some people feel like it's just adding to the momentum of people we really need, like intellectuals we need leaving. So I think that, okay, if before this Snyder had decided to take a job elsewhere, Harvard probably would have counteroffered, and for all we know, Harvard did make him a counteroffer. Why wouldn't they? So, and he still chose to leave. Again, I don't know why, and it's none of my business. But the problem is, and again, this is not specific to Professor Snyder, but the problem we're seeing is that what you refer to, brain drain. This country is in serious, dire straits right now because foreign experts, professionals, researchers are not coming here. Those who are here are leaving. American professionals, researchers, etc., aren't getting funded anymore. Like, we know that the Trump regime has frozen $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard University. They're doing that. Johns Hopkins funding through the National Institutes of Health has been decimated. So not only is there a brain drain of foreign expertise and researchers and a brain drain of Americans going elsewhere because it's, you know, they're not able to do their work here. There's also the lack of funding. So even people who do want to stay to do the work can't because there's no money for it. Like, that's how short-sighted and insane this regime is. It's deeply crazy, and it's like I consider this to be in the same category as institutional knowledge. These are things that take decades to grow, to build, and they're obliterating it overnight. And even if we regain sanity, if we get an administration back in that is going to fund things fully and is going to entice experts to come back to this country, it's going to take generations potentially to rebuild what we've lost in about 3 months. Yeah. So let's see. Philip, question. What do you think of Chinese TikTokers trolling the tariffs and inviting people to buy directly from Chinese factories to avoid tariffs? I think that people need to do whatever they need to do to afford things, honestly. And if that is, if that's a way to do it, go for it. Look, I mean, it's a little, we're going to be making a video about this because it's an important topic. It is not, and full disclosure, this is not my area of expertise by any stretch of the imagination. So I think it'd be very helpful to do a deeper dive to explore the implications. But, you know, I feel the same way about this that I feel about buying Canadian goods over American goods or Mexican goods over American goods, of not buying certain products made in red states, for example, or, you know, it's deeply unfortunate we're in this position, but what the Trump regime is doing to our trading partners, which and with the tariffs, which is only going to make things more expensive for us. It means that we have, just like Canada and China are playing hardball, so do we have to play hardball. And, you know, it is not an accident that over the last decade or so, Americans have come to rely on very inexpensive Chinese products. So Donald is suddenly making them unaffordable by slapping them with 145% tariffs. What are you supposed to do? Like, it's not like American products exist that can replace those. The reason people buy Chinese products is because American products are much more expensive for various reasons that we should have been attending to for years and years now, but have ignored. So, listen, do I like it? No. People have to do what they have to do. That's all there is to it. And again, I mean, the irony, of course, is this is all going to be, this among many other things, is all going to be to China's benefit. So, oh well. You know that expression, crazy like a fox? Doesn't apply to Donald. He's just crazy and stupid. That goes on the list of phrases I'm not allowed to say anymore. But every once in a while, I can't help myself. CK, question. Mary, outside of training, how long were you a clinical psychologist? Did you see patients as a main aspect, or did you work mostly in an academic teacher? Did you enjoy the work? Okay, so good question. It's in my distant past now. I don't really remember. It wasn't that long. Because I taught for a few years. There was a point at which I was mostly what I considered academic psychologist because I taught grad school. I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, don't remember. It feels like a very, very long time ago. But I saw patients. I should know this. This should be one of those questions that's kind of a slam dunk. Outside of training, I think I saw patients for a couple of years, and then, it's just I worked at a state psych hospital in the admissions ward, and for the first 6 months I was there, I was assigned to work to work with sex offenders. It took a toll. You can't really leave that at the office. Like I'm not exaggerating. I had a nightmare every night for 6 months when I was working with sex offenders, because when I say sex offenders, I mean every kind of sex offender. And I didn't want to do it. I was assigned to do it, and they were pedophiles. So, and I had a very young child. It was horrible. So it took a toll. And actually, I because I was on the admissions ward, patients came in at their sickest, and because it was a state psych hospital, they had no support systems, they had no families, they had nothing. So it wasn't just that they were seriously ill; they also were completely alone and bereft of any support of any kind. So it was extraordinarily challenging. That I could deal with. Like I had no problem. I don't mean no problem. It was very serious, difficult work, but I got a lot out of it, and I learned a lot, and I found it very valuable. Working with sex offenders, pushed me over the edge a little bit. So I think that was part of why I was like, I think I'm gonna do something else eventually. So I focused on teaching for a bit, wrote my dissertation, got a degree, focused on teaching, and then shifted gears entirely. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. I apologize. Partially because I couldn't remember for a minute, because it does feel like several lifetimes ago. Donna, thank you so much, Donna. I really appreciate it. Question. Well, first, good evening, Mary. Good evening. Thank you for all that you do for us. It is absolutely our pleasure, and we're happy to be able to do it. It's awesome that you're here. Okay, so fun question. What type of music do you like to listen to? I have pretty eclectic tastes. I mean, there are some things I just don't listen to. This will probably shock you. I don't like death metal. I know it seems weird, right? Like that, you'd think, oh, that's in her wheelhouse. Like klezmer. Not that I'm comparing the two. But I mean, there's very little music I'd say absolutely not. Like I am not a country music person, but love Emmylou Harris, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton. So there are exceptions, but I'd say for the most part, I love classic rock. Who's my favorite band? Folk rock, alternative, and I love classical music, and I love opera. So those would be my main, but also jazz, blues, like everything. Within reason, kind of like the show. Thank you for asking that. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just talk about stuff like that all the time? Yeah, it would be. Barbara, question. Mary, how do you know this? Mary, your birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. Okay. Any fun plans? Yes, I'm replacing my driver's license, which expires because I have to get a real ID, and time is running out. So I feel like I need to be very careful about my documentation these days. Everybody, seriously, I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I mean, I'm getting the real ID because my driver's license is expired and I need to do it anyway. I might as well. But I think I was at the airport recently, And like there's a deadline. Like if you want to get a real ID, whether or not your license is expired, you only have until like May 15th or something. So check it out. I don't know. It seems crazy. Like, why put a deadline on it? But there is one. So if you want to get one, get it now. You've got like 2 weeks or whatever. I'm very much looking forward to my birthday this year. We're going out to dinner at one of my favorite restaurants on Restaurant Row, which is right near Broadway, an Italian restaurant. It's a tiny Italian restaurant I've been going to for years. Haven't been there a long time. So very excited about that. And then we're going to see Audra McDonald in Gypsy. And the last time my daughter and I went, I don't remember when, maybe longer ago. Wow, that's insane. Maybe 15 years ago. Patti LuPone was a Gypsy with Laura Benanti. And I'd seen it already before I saw it with it. And it was the most extraordinary experience I'd ever had in my life. Patti LuPone as Rose. And so then I took Abe, who was still on the young side, but, Patti LuPone and Laura Benanti and Gypsy. She was old enough to remember it. And I remember, when I was 13, my formative experiences in Broadway, the same year, I saw Patti LuPone and Mandy Patinkin in Evita, and Angela Lansbury and Len Cariou and Sweeney Todd. My goodness gracious. So I wanted her to have an equivalent experience. So beforehand, it's about a woman who becomes a stripper, and she was still young enough not to know what that meant. So I'm trying to explain it to her gently. We sit down in our seats, and people are looking at me funny. I'm like, I hope nobody calls child social service. She wasn't 4, she was 10 or something. And she says to me very, very innocently, but probably more loudly than I would have liked, "So, Mom, when are they going to start taking off their clothes?" Oops. She won't do that this time. Or maybe she will, just to torment me. Anyway, looking forward to that. And the only other person I can think of who could potentially even come close to Patti LuPone as Mama Rose is Audra McDonald, because, oh my God. So yeah, thank you for asking. And I don't know why anybody knows it's my birthday, but thank you. Gone hiking. Question. I've heard that a psychopath is born and a sociopath is made, often by a psychopath. Did your grandfather fall more to the category of psychopath, or was he made that way? I have to be honest with you. There's no technical designation for either sociopathy, for being a psychopath or being a sociopath. Basically, and I've never seen any satisfying definitions that draw the distinctions in a way that matter. But so I have my own way of doing this. But just for the technical reason, the technical definition of psychopathy. All right. There are 9 personality disorders, and one of them is narcissistic personality disorder. Oh, sorry. Wrong one. Antisocial personality disorder. Now, antisocial doesn't mean asocial, like people confuse those two. Antisocial behavior is, not knowing the difference between right and wrong, breaking the law. And it like any other psychiatric disorder, and this is according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. Everything exists on a continuum, right? Like depression. You could be on one end and you could just be like, yeah, I'm just kind of struggling and I feel down, and that's called dysthymia. Or you have major depression and you can't get out of bed and you can't function, right? So everything's on a continuum. So with antisocial personality disorder, on one end, it could be a truancy, shoplifting lipstick. And then on the other end, you have psychopathy. People who feel completely unbound by the normal rules of society and have absolutely no problem committing grievous crimes, right? So again, it's not like you're diagnosed as a psychopath. You are on the continuum, the extreme end of the antisocial personality disorder continuum. So when it comes to the difference between psychopaths and sociopaths, and again, this is just my way of making sense of it. Because, by the way, like these aren't rare. I don't remember the statistics precisely, but something like 3%, and it's different for men and women. There's a greater percentage of men who fall into this category than women, which probably isn't surprising. But about 3% across the general population of people would qualify. But again, in what capacity? So the way I explain it to myself is that sociopaths are sort of higher functioning and exhibit or utilize the things that make them sociopaths to be killer businessmen. Like my grandfather was a sociopath. He had no human feeling, really. He wasn't attached to people in any meaningful way. It was all about making money. And he channeled all of his energies into building his business and controlling everything. Psychopaths, again, it's just my way of making sense, are people who, also have no human feeling, no real attachments, but are also violent. So, like, the line I would draw is like Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy are psychopaths. Fred Trump is a sociopath. And you'll see people in C-suites in Fortune 500 companies who exhibit traits of sociopathy. Because it makes it easier to be ruthless in the ways necessary. Some people feel it necessary to be successful in those ways. But I'm actually curious to see. And also, as for the being born or made thing, I think both of them, to the extent they're even different things, I think you're born one way or the other. I just do. That doesn't mean that you can't turn a human being into a monster if you abuse them in all of the right ways or encourage all the worst things about them. Not that I'm speaking about anybody specifically. But also, yeah, do psychopaths make sociopaths? I don't know that it works like that, but like most there's probably a genetic component. Roxana D, thank you so much. It's our first cat treat fee of the evening. We are saving those up for our legion, our clouder of Mary Trump media kittens. I just got an eye roll. I'm not sure why. Come on. Just kidding. Mercedes is like, how many kittens can we get? 7? That's not enough. Tom, question. What was your take on Bill Maher's visit to the White House? I find Bill Maher, and I have found him to be for a very long time, worthless and grotesque. I don't know if I'm being clear enough. I apologize if I'm pulling my punches. I have no interest in what he has to say. I think he's a sellout. I think he has long been a sellout. And I do not understand why people on the left ever thought well of him. Because in addition to, he's not funny, he's arrogant. He's also a horrible misogynist and Islamophobe. What is there to be attracted? And he, for years now, not just recently, he platforms the worst people. I mean, anybody who's buddies with Ann Coulter, give me a break. Give me a break. Brant, thank you very much, Brant. Yeah, interesting question. What was your grandparents' heights? I believe my grandfather was 6'2", and my grandmother was 5'10", and no, No, I did not become a tall person. Thanks, guys. My dad was 6 foot. Donald used to be about 6'2". From what I hear, he's taller now and weighs less. He doesn't. He does not. Michelle, super sticker. Thank you so very much, Michelle. That's right. Oh, it's ID is in the house. Cool. Denissa, hi. Question. Does Veritone Media have a Discord channel? If not, can one be set up? It'll be a cool place for us to hang out in between live streams and chat with channel members. You know what would be really helpful, actually? We're going to make one. And that will be much easier if I knew what Discord was. But I don't need to. But I will, because I like to know things. Yeah, so on it. Anti-punk Vince, question. Who do you think will be the Democratic nominee? I think it will be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I do not think it will be. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but I'm sorry to say we suck. We are just, there's way too much misogyny and racism in this country. I mean, literally Hillary Clinton was, and I mean, you could say arguably, I don't think it was arguable. I just think it was a fact. She was the most qualified candidate running for president in the history of this country. She should have won in a landslide. We just can't do it. And I think part of the reason that happened, I mean, there are so many reasons, but you know, it shouldn't have been close enough for James Comey to screw us over. It shouldn't have been close enough for Bernie Sanders to, you know, throw a wrench in the works. It shouldn't have been, none of it should have been close enough for any of that stuff to make a difference. So yeah, part of it was misogyny, but part of it was white backlash because, we had the audacity of a black president for 8 years and the white people just could not stand for that. So again, you know, the only thing that gave me a little bit of hope is that Kamala Harris outperformed people in other countries significantly. Obviously, it wasn't enough, but given global trends, I was actually shocked that she came as close as she did. So yeah, I unfortunately also, you know, she's really young. I want her to primary and beat Chuck Schumer and become senator of New York State first. I think that would be amazing for her. I think that would give her much more power and incredible. And that Hillary Clinton did that. Remember, Hillary Clinton became senator of New York State, and she was a really good senator. She was our senator during September 11th. She was amazing. And, you know, that was a launching off point for her. So, you know, obviously Ocasio-Cortez is coming at this from a different trajectory, but I think that would be, because we need her, right? We need her in New York, and Schumer has to go. So let's build our leadership now, because this country is not ready. It just is not. I hate saying it. I have this awful feeling. And again, this is not a slight to the men I'm talking about, because there are some really extraordinarily talented and decent white men who would make excellent presidents. I just wish we were ready for something else. But when I say I have a terrible feeling, I don't mean it's terrible because of the men I'm talking about. I'm saying it's terrible that we are just not ready. And will we ever be? I don't know. So I think we could be looking at a ticket like J.B. Pritzker and Andy Beshear, for example. And I think that's a winning ticket. They're both amazing. Beshear's governor of a very, very red state, Kentucky. Pritzker has been the most vocal opponent of Donald's, and he pulls no punches. He's very smart, and he has no problem telling it like it is. He has no problem saying fascism. You know, this is what we're facing. So I have a feeling the ticket's going to look something like that, and hopefully they will lay the groundwork for a ticket that can have Ocasio-Cortez or somebody like her at the top of it in 8 years or so. But we have a lot of work to do before we get there. And again, I'm so sorry to say that, but that's why we're here, you know? TA Simon, my question is, do you think Canada should allow us in the USA asylum if we apply for a political assignment? Yes, I do. Although, I mean, they had to find room for us. And I think, honestly, I think that we should have to prove that we're on the right side of things, right? But I mean, listen, do I think they should? I think they should do whatever they feel comfortable doing, but Canada, please, take pity. Yeah. And also just for ease of access, right? If things go south quickly, we want to be able to get somewhere quickly. Melissa, question: do you think a law school, given the current administration, is a poor decision? No, we need you. We need lawyers. We totally need lawyers. We see how much of this is playing out in the courts, and we also see how poor the opposition is. I think this is the perfect time to go to law school. I mean, depending on what kind of law you want to go into, but think about it this way. Again, hopefully in 4 years, think about all of the rebuilding we're going to have to do with the Department of Justice. We are not just rebuild it. We are going to have to build the Department of Justice from scratch. They're going to need dedicated attorneys with vision, who understand what service is and who understand the rule of law and how important it is. So please, if you're thinking about it, go to law school. Candace, thank you so very much, Candace. That's very kind of you. Yes, such a Christian of vituperous Easter message today. Why? Backed into a corner. He in competition with God. How vicious and snarling will he get when it all comes crumbling down? He's backed into a corner. I apologize, but I have not seen Donald's, what I'm sure was just heartfelt and deeply meaningful Easter message. I'm sure it was all about wishing a happy Easter to all the haters and all the radical left maniacs, right? He believes in repurposing content. No, he believes in nothing. He is the only higher power he believes in. And he hates everybody. And I mean, white evangelicals have a lot to answer for, that they actually pretend that Donald is a holy, righteous, religious man of God. It's just grotesque to me that because they know it's not true, right? But they lie to their flock. Yeah, happy Easter, even to the radical left. Ooh, so that's just so kind and generous of you. He doesn't even know what Easter is for or what it means. He has no beliefs, again, outside of his belief in himself, which is also a lie. But, I've said this for a long time. Donald is a nihilist. And when he feels like it's all crumbling down and and he's at the end of his rope, he will do everything in his power to bring all of it down with him. So make no mistake about that. Okay. Don, thank you so very much. Do you have a favorite book? I do. I have 3. It's hard to choose, but these 3 resonate with me in extraordinarily deep ways. The first of them, and it's probably my favorite because it was the first, when I was 16, when I read it. It was the first experience I had with literature that, 1, changed my life, and 2, completely changed the way I understood language and what it could do. And it's The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner, who is my favorite writer. The second one I read for the first time in college, and it's Clarissa by Samuel Richardson. It's an 18th century epistolary novel, and it's about 2,000 pages long, and it is one of the most brilliant things I've ever read in my life. And the third is Toni Morrison's Beloved. And she's extraordinary, as is that book. Brad, thank you so very much, Brad. Question, do you think Donald will endorse Vance in 2028? If not, who will he endorse? He will endorse himself. Donald's not endorsing anybody, and he's not going anywhere. So let's not kid ourselves about this. Be very clear-eyed. They're not going to want an election. They are going to pretend that there is not an amendment in the Constitution that says that he can't run for a third term. They're going to lie and say, well, it just means consecutive terms. No, it doesn't. So, yeah, be prepared. And he's saying, I mean, they're saying it already. All right. From Substack, Lynn asks, in your opinion, do you think it would hurt or help MAGA if sane people relocated to different parts of the globe and cease to support them? Well, yeah, ceasing to support them would be awesome for sure. But I don't know that sane people do support them. So I guess there are two things. Okay. So if we're talking about, there are two ways I can interpret your question. So forgive me if I'm wrong. One is the cynical people who support MAGA because it achieves their ends, right? Or support financially, like living here and not paying taxes into this corrupt system that they could benefit from. Yeah, but that would require a massive relocation. And I honestly, and I'm not saying this is going to happen either. It'd be amazing if we could like move a bunch of Democrats to Wyoming. Because like 5 people live in Wyoming and it probably wouldn't take that many people to change the demographics enough. But I mean, whatever way we can get people to stop supporting MAGA, yeah, of course. But I don't know. I don't know. All right, got some people to thank. Some super stickers. Here we go. Marshall, thank you so much, Marshall. Diane, thank you. That's great. Cindy, thank you as always. Pethalamona, not sure if I'm getting that right, but thank you so very much. That's very generous of you. Kendra, thank you as always. Another super sticker. Scott, thank you so very much for that. Quick comment. You're the best, smart as hell, really funny without trying to be funny, kind of sarcastic. Love it. Well, far too generous, but thank you. I appreciate it. And actually, sometimes I do try to be funny. Sometimes I guess I'm just accidentally funny. I'll take it. Things are tough. Thank you, Scott. Ballard, thank you so very much, Ballard. That's great. Traveling photographer from Canada in the house. Thank you. Elbows up, guys. Comment, the dogs made me late feet. I think this is our first dog feed. I could be wrong, but that's awesome. And listen, dogs are allowed to do whatever they want. And if they made you late, that's your fault. But thank you. Thank you for our fictional. Again, for those of you who don't know, there really are no fees here. They're not real, but we appreciate them when we get them. Thank you, traveling photographer. Another super sticker. Sally, thank you so very much for that. Razamanaz, thank you very much. That's cool. And very nice message. Happy birthday, Mary. In advance, I appreciate that. Another super sticker. S.E. West, thanks so much. That's great. Melissa, thank you. Hey, Jude, another super sticker. Awesome. Kathleen, another super sticker. Thank you, Kathleen. Very kind of you. FAFO, we know what that means. Thank you very much for that comment. Orange Dump Truck also said in his post, America will be more religious. Wow. How is that even possible? It's a large, and also by religious, what do they mean? They're kind of Christian. That's what they mean. Okay, another Canadian in the house. Champagne Hand, thank you as always. Comment, friends, currently the Safe Third Country Agreement prevents U.S. citizens from seeking asylum in Canada. Oh, fascinating. Please go to Amnesty Canada for the petition. I'm not going to say I was counting that on that or anything, but that's good to know. Thank you. Honestly, that's really helpful information because I know, I mean, for obvious reasons, Canada would be the go-to place for many Americans. So if that is not an option, and there's either something we could do to make it an option, or people don't look for alternatives. Fabulous. Okay, guys, that does it for us. Really appreciate your being here, whether you're looking on YouTube, watching on YouTube, live streaming on Twitter, or over at my Substack. Hey, Substack peoples. The Substack is the Good in Us. If you want to go check that out, please do. Everybody listening to the podcast, thank you very much. To all of our super stickers, all of the people giving us gifts, we so appreciate you. To our phenomenal moderators, and of course, to my extraordinary team and Mercedes, who does the heavy lifting on Sunday evenings. Thank you very much. This was a pleasure, as always. I will be back tomorrow night for Mary Trump Live. That's Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, we've got videos dropping every day. Please check them out, like them, share them, subscribe to our channel. We are almost at 400,000 subscribers. Every little bit helps. We so appreciate you. Have a wonderful evening. I will see you tomorrow night at 6. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.